Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Dr. Shakir Abdullah, founder and CEO of Practical Diversity Associates, a leadership and equity consulting firm working to transform how organizations approach training, DEI strategy, and inclusive culture building. Shakir is also helping young students get ready for their careers by optimizing for personal growth and career trajectory. Shakir brings over 2 decades of experience in higher education, corporate leadership, and diversity program innovation to the table. Dr. Shakir, welcome to Founders Future.
Ammar, thank you for the opportunity to have this conversation today, and I appreciate that wonderful introduction.
Anytime. I'm excited to dive in. I always like to start from the beginning. So, can you take us on a little trip down memory lane to before you started Practical Diversity Associates? What were you doing at the time? And then what was really the motivation behind starting the company?
Absolutely. It is really a lifelong passion for me. Growing up, I grew up in spaces with diverse folks, with people from all over the world, people with all different backgrounds. And in 2011, when I first started Practical Diversity Associates, it was really the culmination of the work that I've done all my life in terms of engaging with people, connecting with people, and getting to know people. And then what happened was I was doing my doctoral research, working on my dissertation, and came across this concept and this idea of multicultural competence. Multicultural competence consists of three things: it's the knowledge, skills, and awareness to engage with people who are similar to you or to engage with people who are different from you. Multicultural competence is identity agnostic. It doesn't matter who you are or what your experiences are. What matters the most is your desire to learn, your desire to learn about yourself, your desire to learn about others. And that was an epiphany for me. I thought, wow, you don't have to have a particular identity. You don't have to come from a specific background or anything like that. You just have to be curious about the world, curious about others, and curious about improving yourself. And that is really the main factor in
Mhm.
terms of determining someone's multicultural competence. And so once I found that, based on the research and the surveys that I sent out and the work that had been done before, I thought this is really something that people need to know about. People need to know that we all can be working towards multicultural competence. The thing about multicultural competence is that it is a lifelong, persistent journey. It's not a situation where you just end up at a destination and say, hey, I'm multiculturally competent. I took a course or I met a person or I did this thing. I'm multiculturally competent. That's not how it works. How it works is you have the opportunity to always learn and to always grow in your understanding of yourself and your understanding of others. And so when I had that epiphany, when I had that founding, I said, the world needs to know about this. And the best way for me to do that is to create a company that allows me to train and engage with people who are beyond my circle, beyond where I'm working or beyond where I'm teaching. I needed to make sure that it was broad. And that's where Practical Diversity Associates was created, because I wanted to make sure that people had practical solutions to
Yeah.
issues as it related to diversity in their organizations. And so that is where it started. I was at the time, I was the director of the Multicultural Center at Auburn University, and I was working on my PhD from Auburn University. And that was when I founded the organization. And as a matter of fact, I was at home in Ohio with my family. We were there for Thanksgiving, and just told my brother, I said, hey, I want to start this company. I want to do this work. And then he sat down and helped me with the development of the LLC and the creation of the website and all that good stuff. And so it was a family business from the start.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for breaking down the story and sharing with us multicultural competence. That's a new thing for me. I didn't even know about it before this conversation. Let's also give the listeners context on what you're doing to help young students. Is that part of Practical Diversity Associates, or is that a separate thing?
No, it is part of Practical Diversity
Mhm.
Associates. So the reason why it's under the same company umbrella is because I want to make sure that folks have practical solutions to all their diverse problems. And for a lot of folks, understanding how to navigate the college experience is a brand new thing. For first generation folks, it's new. For people whose parents went to college, it's new because it's not like it was 20, 30 years ago. The whole process of navigating college has shifted. And I want to make sure that people are doing what's best for them. And so I came up with a program called College Degrees, and that stands for Developing Effective Goals, Resources, Emotional Intelligence, and Entrepreneurial Skills. And the bottom line is that more than 40% of people who start college, a 4 year college or university, don't finish. More than 60% of people who start a community college don't finish. Half of people who graduate from college are not working in their major area. And because of that, there is a need to make sure that folks are focused and they understand what they're doing when they're pursuing these academic degrees. It may be that an academic degree isn't the best path for you. It might be that you need to go and do an apprenticeship. It might be that you need to go and do a trade or do something like that, because that might be your best use of your time and your best use of your skills and passions. Because oftentimes people are pursuing degrees or going to school because they want to make someone proud, or they were told a long time ago that they would make a good doctor or a good lawyer, but those aren't their strengths and those aren't their skills, but nobody told them that there were alternatives. And so that's
Yeah.
really what I want to do. I want to make sure that folks understand the multiple paths to success. I think back on my experience and think about some of the things that I picked up that helped me to thrive.
Yeah.
I learned how to cut hair, right? I didn't go to barber school, but I learned how to cut hair, and it saved me over $100,000 over the course of the last 20 years, right? And so when you pick up skills, you can do more, you can be more productive, and you can still go and get your degree if that's a
Yeah.
true passion for you. And so that's really the work that I'm doing in terms of helping folks to determine their best path forward and helping folks to choose their own adventure, so to speak. And so that's part of what I'm doing with the College Degrees program, and that's under the umbrella of Practical Diversity Associates. And it really, once again, speaks to my experience, 25 plus years in higher education, and just taking all the lessons that I've been able to learn and trying to apply them and share them with folks so they don't have to take 25 years to figure it out.
I love that. I love that. You explained this very, very well. I want to dive into, by the way, I get 2 haircuts a week. So I should probably learn myself or something like that. But walk me through Practical Diversity Associates. So you have the young student side.
Sure.
Aside from that, who would you say is your ideal customer at that company or ideal client? And what are the core offerings that make up the bulk of the business?
Absolutely. And the core audience for our college degrees program is folks who work in higher education and first year experience, orientation, student success, and student affairs. That's my core audience there for higher education, for college degrees. But I'm also focused on high school guidance counselors and folks who are helping students navigate the college selection process. So those are my core audiences in that space, and that consists of my keynote lectures on college degrees, but also some one-on-one coaching as needed, as well as professional development programs for administrators and institutions. With Practical Diversity Associates, in terms of the multicultural competence offerings, my clientele is a little bit broader. I'm looking for corporations and organizations that are still committed to working on diversity, equity, and inclusion, and are really interested in learning more about multicultural competence, the knowledge, skills, and awareness that help the people to thrive. And those are going to be corporate spaces, human resources. They're also going to be K-12 and colleges and universities who are still committed to doing this work. And then the offerings within the practical diversity side are keynote lectures, customized trainings, and one-on-one coaching. And so the work overlaps in terms of what I'm doing with college degrees and what I'm doing with Practical Diversity Associates. And
Got
anyone
it.
who's interested in this work and learning more about multicultural competence, that's my target audience. And anyone who's interested in college success and learning to navigate their career success, that's what I'm looking for in terms of the college degrees aspect.
Nice, nice. You're breaking this down very well. You're making my job a lot easier. so this is easy to understand. Let's shift a little bit to the back end of the business. When it comes down to the actual client acquisition, the lead generation, when you're looking to bring more clients into your company, what are you currently doing there?
So my most effective client growth strategy has been word of mouth, right? And word of mouth is it's hard to quantify, right? To say, hey, how many people talk to how many people because I don't have control of that. But word of mouth has been really effective. In addition to word of mouth, I've been using LinkedIn as a tool to advertise and to connect with folks who are doing this work. And then also some direct marketing appeals. I have a strategic that I share with folks who are potential clientele. So I'm looking at folks who are pre-qualified because of their roles, and
Got
I'm
it.
directly communicating with those folks and inviting them to have a conversation with me, offering a free workbook, offering some of those resources to get the conversation started. And if they think that, hey, this is a good fit, this is a great opportunity, then we'll go from there. And so that's really the approach that I'm taking right now. But I'm always open to learning more strategies, more impactful and more effective strategies in
Yeah,
terms of marketing and connecting. Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now.
cool. Very cool. I like that you say you're always open to learning new strategies and whatnot, because I think that's part of business. You always have to be open for different perspectives, right? Because
Yep.
one thing that it's interesting you bring it up. Yesterday, I was talking to a gentleman, and he mainly relied on word of mouth referrals and networking. But he expressed to me frustrations that it's not the most consistent, it's not the most reliable. Like you said, it's hard to control that. So I guess what is your perspective on that? And is there anything specific that you're doing to build more predictability and consistency? Or is that something that you're still learning? And if that makes sense.
No, it's a great question. So I'm still learning. One of the things that has been most effective is securing long-term contracts. I've been fortunate to have a number of long-term contracts where I'm doing regular engagements, regular training, regular observations, and creation of workshop and training materials over time. So those have been the most effective. The issue with those long-term contracts is still consistency, right? Because I'll get a contract for 10 months, a year, 3 months at a time, and that's great. But what it doesn't allow me to do, it doesn't allow me to forecast into the next year or anything like that. And I can look quarter to quarter, but beyond that, it makes it more difficult. So I would love an opportunity to have stuff waiting in the pipeline, but I'm not sure what that
Mm,
looks like.
fair enough. What does the sales process look like? So once a lead does come in, let's say through email, word of mouth, or something like that, what are the different steps that they go through for them to become a client?
So the first part of that is just to have a conversation so we can talk about your needs. Am I able to offer what you need as an organization? If you say, hey, we want to do a training and we think this is what we want to cover, I say, great, let's find out if that's actually what you need to cover. So, in addition to a training, I'll offer an assessment because the assessment is helpful so that we understand the starting point of the staff. And once we understand their starting point, then we can create the training and then we'll do a post training survey just to get an understanding of the impact and the growth from pre-training to post-training. And then we get an opportunity to see, hey, these are some areas where folks had some growth in their learning and understanding. And these are some opportunities where we can continue to engage and have some different conversations and more specific training down the line. And that's typically how the process works. We talk about what's needed. If we decide that the things that I offer are the things that they need as an organization, then I'll do that assessment. And from the assessment, we'll create the training. After the training, we'll do a post assessment and then we'll just review our engagement and see if there's an opportunity to stay connected and do some future training.
Cool, powerful. I'm super curious when it comes to your vision and where you want to take the company, let's say over the next 6 to 12 months. What are the revenue targets, performance targets, and goals in general that you're aiming towards?
Absolutely. So, in terms of revenue targets for the next 12 months, I would love to settle in at right at $150,000 for the year. And so, in order for me to reach that goal, I'm going to need to secure either two high-end targets, the contracts that I've had before, or four smaller end contracts in order to reach that goal. And so the way that I envision doing that is connecting with qualified prospects who are interested in what we have to offer. And the challenge I think that we're running into is just that the political climate is shifting and folks are less apt to say, hey, we want to engage with the diversity side of the work. But there's always that need for growth in terms of folks with career achievement, college going interest. And so the college degree space is helping to pivot and it becomes the opposite side of my lever in terms of balance for revenue opportunities. And
Yeah.
I just had a conversation today. A previous client wanted to put together a training for mentors and mentees for a program that they're creating. And my college degrees program aligned perfectly with what they have. And so I've got that coming up in September. So I'm excited about it. I was able to secure that today. And so that's a real time story
Yeah,
that I can share with you.
that's fire, man.
Yeah.
I I think it's very wise that you pivoted and did the college degree because I've talked to a lot of DEI consultants. A lot of people that aren't pivoting are experiencing hardships right now. So it's important to keep your ear to the ground, and consistently be able to move. Also learn from other people, different resources, all those different things. I'm curious, aside from what's going on in the market, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge you're facing to really taking this to the next level?
Just awareness. I need more people to be aware of all
Yeah.
the things that we offer. I need more people to be aware of me and my company. And so that's an opportunity. And I have to figure out different ways to grow. I'm doing the social media stuff. I'm on TikTok and Instagram and all that good stuff and LinkedIn, but it's not enough because with that stuff, you hope to go viral. And I don't have anything flashy or catchy enough that's going to go viral on its own. I don't get that maximum exposure from those social media spaces. And so growth and awareness of who we are with Practical Diversity Associates and college degrees and who I am as a brand is probably the number one thing that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I love that. Let me ask you an interesting question. If you could talk to the younger version of yourself before you started your company,
Yeah.
and you could give yourself a piece of advice that you wish you knew at that time. Now, I always like to preface, I don't believe in living in regret and having that be a thing. But
Right.
the purpose of me asking that is because I think it'll be useful to somebody listening. If
Mhm.
you could give yourself a piece of advice of something you didn't know at the time, but you do know it now based off of your experience, what would that be?
Invest in crypto when it's buying pizza.
Don't tell me. That's hilarious.
And I think the second piece would be to invest in the emerging technologies that you love and you use. I remember when I was getting Netflix in the mail and I loved it, right? But in missed investment opportunity. But beyond that, I would say be deliberate about building a brand and owning the brand of you. I
Mm,
think one of the things that I did as a younger professional was I invested in the organizations that I was a part of, gave them all kinds of great ideas and things like that. But what I didn't do was embrace the brand of me. I didn't tell my story enough and loudly enough, often enough, on enough platforms to build a brand that would stand alone from the organizations that I was a part of. And so I would tell my younger self to build my brand as I'm building the brand and values of the organizations that I'm working for.
I love that. For the people that are interested in working with you, what is the best way for them to reach out?
The best way to connect with me is through my website, www.pracdiv.com, pracdiv.com. You can catch me on my website, or you can catch me on LinkedIn. Just search for Dr. Shakir Abdullah, higher ed leader, and you'll be able to find me on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great way to connect because I get a chance to take a look and see who folks are and their experience and what they're interested in, what they're doing. And sometimes it helps me to pre-qualify a contact. And if there's no business connection, there may be a connection where I can connect you with someone that helps your business. So that's the LinkedIn is really a good place to connect with me as well.
Awesome. Dr. Shakir, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely, Ammar. I appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of my story.
Anytime. So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to go to pracdiv.com. That's PRACDIV.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, obviously. And if you are a business owner, specifically coach, consultant, or an agency, and you're looking to scale your business and really enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.